Everybody, I'm Pete McCoubry. I'm joined by my host, per usual, Colby Yetton. I want to kick things off by letting everyone know it has been 27 years. That's more than half my life by a considerable margin. 27 years since Tiger Woods' first ever Masters Championship, the youngest Masters Championship ever. It has been a year to the day, April 9th, 2023, since Jon Rahm donned the green jacket in the last Masters Championship. And it has been never in history since Rory McIlroy last won the Masters. That brings us today. All of this leads to this, which is the How We Live podcast about all things golf. Colby, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Very excited. Obviously, it's Masters Week. Best time, in my opinion, on the entirety of the golf schedule. But this is the How We Live podcast. All things dedicated to live golf, the players, the news, the events, the statistics, and things outside of golf that are affecting the live schedule. This being the Masters Week. 13 live players are going to be donning on Augusta come Thursday, the 11th. We're all very excited about this. We're going to get into that in just a little bit, but wanted to first kick it off by reflecting on Live Golf Miami at the Trump Doral course, the Blue Monster, which we all know is one of the more difficult courses down there. Pretty exciting stuff. Went all the way into a playoff between Dean Burmester of the Stingers GC and Sergio Garcia of the infamous Fireballs GC. People get into that in just a little bit, but pretty impressive. He is actually going down into a playoff game out of nowhere. Sergio was leading for quite some time. Dean was kind of nipping at his ankles throughout. Dean Burmester's very first win on the LIV Tour, which is amazing for him, and another win for the Stingers. But, you know, he really was able to play steady and strategic decisions. But due to the fact of Sergio putting it into the water on the second playoff hole, led Dean into a strategic position of just being able to, make a birdie and win. But, Sergio, it's kind of a little bit of a tough spot for Sergio. Over 50 competitive rounds on the Blue Monster. He's faced defeat for the third time in a LIV Golf playoff in his tenure on LIV. Previous includes a 4-hole battle against Joaquin Niemann just this year in Mayakoba, which must have been exhausting. They didn't finish until the wee hours of the night. And then, of course, Taylor Gooch in Singapore last year. But pretty impressive stuff. Pete, you get a chance to turn into the CW broadcast of this?
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. If you didn't know anything about golf, and a lot of our viewers and fans think that I don't, but I do. But if I didn't know anything about golf, and I was just going to bet as to who's going to win a one-hole playoff based on who has the cooler name between Sergio Garcia and Dean Burmeister, I would have said Sergio Garcia gets a hole-in-one and Dean shoots like a 12. So it's a huge win for the Deans of the world, all the Burmeisters of the world, beating a guy like Sergio Garcia. So I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, I would be too. I mean, you even churched up his name a little bit. It's not even Team Burmeister. It's Team Burmester. Just like shove it in the ground. Don't church it up. It's Joe Dirt.
From what little I did catch, because busy guy, unfortunately didn't do all the homework, but it seems like maybe they toned down some of the more annoying stuff on the broadcast. Maybe they're dialing in a little bit.
Yeah, I think probably being back stateside again, they had significant contacts. Trump Doral is a world-renowned course, so being able to get some significant infrastructure in there. The galleries are great. A lot of people decided to come on out, and like I said on last week's podcast, for $60. Go outside, have a good time. You're in the Miami area.
It's the cheapest thing you can do in Miami.
Yeah, 100%. Can't even go out to lunch for $60. No. So, it was a pretty impressive tournament. All in all, I mean, obviously seeing Legion 13 back on the top of the team leaderboard. Even our guy, Kieran Vincent, decided to play around. I think he tied 24th or something, which I believe his best finish of the season. So he's trending up. So good job, Kieran. Good job, Kieran.
Legion 13. Together we conquer. Very, very dramatic.
Yeah. So currently at the individual leaderboard, as it stands today, you got your boy Waco Neiman sitting on top at 105.4 points. Jon Rahm still at number 2. Fantastic position, both these individuals going into Masters Week. And now Deem Burmester on the third spot, 71.4 points. And I was looking into the stats here. It's really because John Rahm was squeezed into the second spot, two hole, if you will, because he has not finished anything worse than tied individual eighth, this 2024 inaugural season for him on LIV. So excellent play out of John Rahm moving into the Masters this week.
Just real quickly, before we move on from this, I'm just looking at Legion 13 on the LIV Golf website, and as somebody who does a little bit of writing myself, I just want to read the team bio that they've written to the listeners. This is an absolute masterclass in saying a bunch of stuff, but saying absolutely nothing at all.
Love it.
Legion 13, together we conquer. Legion 13 are fearless in the face of competition. Led by the power, the pride, and the passion of John Rahm, we embrace all that we are, because what makes us different makes us stronger. Never afraid to be ourselves, we play it like it is. We put our hearts into everything we say and do. Together we play, together we conquer. Very cool. Got chills reading that. Ooh, baby.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. Thank you to the writers. Thank you to the writers and content producers at livegolf.com. Excellent bio. Yeah,
They
I
do.
think
They do conquer, though. They've proven it, so good on them.
yeah, it's very impressive. It's very impressive. They've had a great season so far. 2 team wins, leading the team leaderboard across the league. So let's give it up for Legion 13 coming in there, trying to scramble last minute to get the team assembled with mysterious picks like Kieran Vincent. And somehow Kieran is kind of rising to the moment. Caleb Surratt also just saying, you know what, forget it college. I'm going straight to the pros.
Yep. One more quick one. Maybe I'll do, moving on, I'll just do one of these a week, but it's just too good. This is the Crushers, led by Bryson DeChambeau, and I bet you he wrote it. It says, all about boldness and confidence. Here to win, and here to show the rest of the world how it should be done. It says, that's right, ... That's right. That's right. When Bryson and his boys are on the tee, class is in session. This is a team that isn't just thinking about outside the box, it's crushing the box, then building a better one. And while there is no such thing as perfection, the quest for greatness never ends. That's right. Class is in session. This thing
Not
outside the
only
box, crushing
the box.
and then building a better one.
All right. So if you wanna get a laugh, just some general entertainment, head to livegolf.com and check out the team bios for more team news and entertainment.
And maybe just start incorporating that's right with a little bit of a pause before you say something like that's right, like Bryson, that's right, ... classes in session.
It's awesome because somebody was sitting back, some exec or just person who just got the job and got paid a boatload of money was sitting back in his, what do they call those, the day bed in his office, I assume, in a high exec thing. By the way, the headquarters is in the UK of LIV Golf. So I assume London, hanging out and saying, write this down to the secretary, man or woman, or probably they're just doing it into an audio thing. I got a great idea for the bio of Team Crushers.
That's right. And yes, everybody, if you just want to laugh, go read the team bios. And for an additional laugh, and this is a quick one, if you go to reserve players, they list all the teams, and then it says reserve players. You click on that, and it says 404, page not found. So, tough break for the reserve players.
Not quite there yet, reserve. We'll get back to you in just a little bit. But I think, because we have to talk about Anthony Kim briefly. He actually was able to beat out and hit excuse me, is this correct? Am I looking at Miami? Miami was a plus 21, which was 30 strokes behind the leader. But he is, still dedicated to his game. He really wants to get it figured out, and he will. Cam Smith did have to retire due to the quote-unquote food poisoning, aka the shits. So we wish Cam a speedy recovery as he's coming into Masters Week. That being said, it's Masters Week. Let's get focused on exactly what's going on. A lot of news. If you are one of the very few individuals that hasn't tuned into live from the Masters this week, it's very interesting to me because there's a lot of buzz, obviously, around the LIV players. What John Rahm's move has done with this whole dispersion between LIV and the PGA, what the LIV players are going to be able to do. Similar conversations from the same individuals that were saying this last year with the likes of guys like Brooks Koepka that were in contention. Phil Mickelson was in contention. I mean, the top 4 guys were 2 LIV players. And so there's going to be a lot of discussion about this throughout the week, but it has been very entertaining thus far. Everyone seems to be having a good time. Jon Rahm is currently sitting down, I believe, tonight, Tuesday the 9th, for his Masters Championship dinner, where everyone's going to get to savor all of the wonderful Spanish cuisine that Jose Andres has prepared for everybody in conjunction with Jon Rahm. So they're enjoying themselves.
Let's walk through this real quick. I like talking about food. So let me just pull this up. I think we talked about what we would have on our Masters menu, but Jon Rahm has got to be a good one. What is Jon Rahm serving? He has got tapas. Good start. That's classic tapas. He has got acorn-fed Iberian ham, cheese and black truffle, a Spanish omelet, creamy chicken fritters, Mama Ron's classic lentil stew, a little touch of home, and spicy chorizo. Then the filet course, which is new to me. I didn't know that was a thing. Oh, nope, read that wrong. First course. Filet course would be a steak. First course, bisque crab salad. Then they have a choice of a ribeye, or you're a fisherman, Cole. Is it Turbot? Is that turbo or turbot?
Yeah, so we read a couple of these a few weeks ago when he first released it, and I'm going to go turbo.
I'm going to go turbo. Turbo asparagus, and then a puff pastry cake. That's delicious. It's a heck of a menu, John.
I saw a few interviews. Saw a few interviews about the whole menu thing, and like there's questions about like do players ever like refuse to eat certain things, and the answer is like no. They're pretty much all. It's like you wouldn't do that. It's not like, hey, if someone walked up to you on a Monday and you said you weren't really into it at a day at work, and they say, well, it sounds like somebody has a case of Mondays, and you're like, no, man, no,
you don't.
No, man, it's messed up. So the same thing, same reaction to not eating something. Nope, we got it.
Case of Mondays made me so angry I threw my laptop. Especially if it's called Mama Rahm's lentil stew, you're not going to disrespect Mama Rahm.
No, 100%. So yeah, they're all sitting down with that right now. But we got 13 LIV players out there in the Masters. There's been a lot of talk about these guys, and one thing that's got me kind of thinking about is that is 54 holes and 72 holes. Are these guys going to have the stamina to move this? They said the same thing last year, and you still got 2 guys in the top 4. So the answer to that is no. I think, honestly, 54 holes, yes, there's no cuts. So you take that out. 54 holes may be more difficult to be in playing contention to win than 72. 72, you could have an off day or not. 54, you have to pretty much be on your game the entirety of the time. So, yeah, it's a different strategic play, but at the same time, I think it's no question that these guys are able to physically handle. They're professional athletes, handle 72 holes of golf.
And let's the most important thing, as I always say, is we can't forget it's golf. Right. And it's not like they're playing 72 holes back to back to back to back. They play their 54, then they go home to their luxury hyperbaric chambers, sleep, and then play 18 more holes. I think they're going to be fine. It's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, now they're all like doing the Tiger Woods recovery, where basically they cover their entire body in suction cup ice packs. And it's just like, and then they go into another ice bath and they come out into a sauna. It's like, and then you hear the whole town was like, as they walk out.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. That's
the more healthy of the 2 Tiger Woods recovery methods. So I'm glad they're sticking with that.
Absolutely. And now a moment for our sponsor. A Wink or a Nod Marketing is a new boutique marketing agency specifically designed for small businesses. If you are too busy or simply just don't know how to run social media, build a brand plan, or write copy, go to winkoranod.com. One of the things we have to pay attention to, so the 13 guys, Bryson DeChambeau, Sergio Garcia, Tyrrell Hatton, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Adrian Meronk, Phil Mickelson, Joaquin Niemann, Jon Rahm, Patrick Reed, Charles Schwartzel, Cam Smith, and Bubba Watson. All of these guys are playing. Bryson, really, despite 7 starts, his best Masters finishes tied 21st in 2016 with recent form improvements. Could make a splash this year. Dominant, I would say, mostly on the team aspect of LIV, but always out there hungry and trying to prove himself. Guy always kind of walks around with a chip on his shoulder, personally. You
Yeah.
beat?
Who am I looking out for? Who am I looking out for?
Bryson DeChambeau and expectations for his play in the Masters.
Oh,
Best finish tied 21st.
yeah. I mean, he seems to have toned down when he was doing whatever he was doing with his workout program. Maybe trying to be. I don't think Augusta National is a course that he's just going to crush the box and build a bigger one. You got to be a few holes. You definitely got to lay up, be smart. Seems to be getting a little bit better at that. Is playing more like a human being and not a cyborg. So I expect Bryson. He's also one of those guys who just like he's a spotlight guy. So would not be surprised to see him make some noise.
Next on the players list, Sergio Garcia. He won the Masters in 2017, so he will forever play in this tournament while he's still got the stamina to carry him out. I think he's got a decent shot to put up a significant score. I mean, obviously losing in a playoff in Mayakoba this year, losing in a playoff as recently as Miami 2 days ago. He could be one to watch as well. Like he's kind of feeling it right now. I think last week he was trying to prove himself. Really unfortunate, I would say, chip, wedge, whatever you want to call it, put it in the water. But the Masters, he could perform really well.
Yeah, we got Tyrell Hatton, who I don't expect Tyrell Hatton to make a bunch of noise. But he plays for Legion 13. There's 13 live golfers, I believe. So there was also an eclipse. So maybe all this stuff, maybe it all means something. It's all going to come together for him. But
Kind of
I'm
like a
just
bigger universe, like the eclipse has landed, and we'll get to. Do you see the guys warming up at all during Eclipse Day? And
yeah,
the Masters actually came out with eclipse specific eclipse glasses.
not going
If
to
I
miss
had
a
a pair of
chance.
those, I would either frame them up or I
Yeah,
would sell them for a ton of money.
yeah. Second one.
Eclipse. Dustin Johnson with an early season win on LIV. He really forms, seems to be better than last year, providing hope for a strong showing. Any Russell from Dustin Johnson out there? He's a powerhouse off the tee. It is a ball striker's course. A few shape shots here and there.
Yeah, I mean, he's always just one of those guys though that he's good enough to really win any tournament, and no one's gonna be surprised if he's near the top on Sunday.
Yeah.
And
I
speaking
mean,
of
outside
which,
of John, what's that?
we get Brooks Koepka. Speaking of guys, you wouldn't be surprised. Finished second last year, and only because he kind of was a real botch job. In the fourth round, he finished +3, but he's another one of those guys going to show up every Master and plays
Yeah,
his course really well.
100%. Also, kind of going off, he's like the majors guy, right? Won the PGA Championship last year. This guy in person, it was the first time ever seeing him in person before. He's like a tight end. He's huge, watermelon shoulders type guy, walking down there, huge strut. Once he feels hot, he's gonna keep going, and he's really competitive. He's like one of those guys that's just like when he gets dialed in, he's ready to go. And again, probably walking around with a chip on his shoulder. Got really close last year in 2023, but one of the newcomers onto the Masters, DP World Tour champion Adrian Meronk, first Polish player at the Masters. Period. So he's really got to represent the Poland.
Yeah, that's all. I think that's all we really have to say about Adrian. I don't know how well he's going to do. First Polish player at the Masters, maybe. That could go either way. He is either going to be inspired or is just going to feel the weight of a nation on his shoulders, and he's going to crumble. But shout out to Poland. Good for them. Finally got there. Reached the mountaintop.
Very excited if Adrian Meronk wins and what the Polish style dinner at the Masters dinner is going to look like. Just pierogies raining down from on high.
Yep. Slightly bigger name than Adrian, Phil Mickelson. Heck of a fourth round last year, -7. Came in second, and I mean, he's one of those guys at this point. He's probably not a huge threat, but he's got history there. So you never know with a guy like Phil. It's more fun when he's involved.
Yeah, it would be somehow. I haven't looked at the pairings for the first couple of days, but it'd be pretty cool if somehow Phil and Tiger Woods, because I mean Tiger Woods playing in this tournament, very cool. Obviously ups the ratings, He's going to be rocking all of his new Tiger gear that looks like a skeleton. But at the same
It's gonna be
time,
weird. It's gonna be weird to see him on, assuming he makes the cut on Sunday in his new weird skeleton gear.
yeah, I think with all of his fusion surgery too, like I was watching him warm up, and like maybe just because he's trying to take it easy on it, just like everything, he's like the Bionic Man, like everything is just fused together, and he's just like, and like the PGA is secretly just like controlling him from some back room, like keep moving, don't stop.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a robot.
but yeah, I mean, I heard reports like it'd be amazing if Tiger Woods finished like tied 15th or 15th. Um, so Phil might be right in there. Phil hasn't had a strong performance on LIV this season, but he's a hype guy, so got to keep him on.
Yeah,
But
Joaquin Neiman, my guy.
yeah,
He's been playing really good golf. Really inspired golf. Took down his idol Sergio in that playoff we talked about earlier.
mm-hmm.
I think he's ready for the big show. A couple of recent victories, so
Yeah.
we'll get
Winning,
into this later. But I have him. I'm involved in a little Masters pool. You choose your top four, and I have Joaquin firmly in there. I think he's going to have a heck of a weekend.
yeah, he's going to be coming on strong for sure. Coming off last year's win at the Australian Open, and then he's what I also love about Joaquin. He's like, whatever, screw the OWGR points. I'm gonna go and make this work and get the invite. Got the invite, killing it on LIV Golf with two wins under his belt. Using every opportunity to kind of get out there and work on his game. Maybe not win every time, but he's still getting better every single time out. I think the big story, which a lot of emphasis has been put on, is obviously Jon Rahm coming back to defend his title in 2023. John again hitting sub tight eighth place in every single tournament or better this year. Yeah, he hasn't won yet. His team has won twice, so that collective win has got to be strong with momentum going in. Me personally, I'm a little, and we talked about this prior to the pod, but little upset the way the broadcast has been kind of talking about LIV and the whole fact. They mentioned before like Jon Rahm in his comments are kind of wishy washy. He's talking. Obviously, Jon Rahm likes the PGA Tour.
Yeah,
If he likes the LIV Tour, he likes his position there. Yes, he wanted to bring both tours together. And they're like, well, he's not really the domino chip that fell that brought these two together. There's nothing really going on. These guys had talks out in Bermuda or whatever a couple weeks ago. Like, absolutely, there was a lot of attention towards bringing these tours together and getting people like Rory McIlroy on board. I think was a big move by Jon Rahm going over there. Ryder Cup teammate. Like, obviously, Rory's tone has changed in the last 6-7 months.
of course.
So I think he's done huge moves, which is silly for them to say.
Yeah, it's also literally not his job to bring those two together.
Right. Yeah, it's not his job. It's pretty silly. So hoping for John to really come back, defend the title, put up a strong showing there, get aggressive, get loud, get mean. And I think on the LIV Tour he's been able to kind of do that a little bit. Obviously, the Masters brings a different style of competitive play, but people still get fired up. I mean, like,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's gonna be a little bit tough for the LIV guys, I think, to adjust without the chain smokers in the background, but they've done it before, so
Pants. They were talking about like wearing pants. It's just like these guys are playing at country club resort places. Like Doral is a world renowned course. So Hong Kong course is a Shapers course. Like all these courses have been fantastic and difficult. And it's silly. Yes, obviously it's the Masters. It's going to be an interesting test of skill, but it's just being sitting on this side and watching it. It was just tough to watch how the PGA broadcast of the Masters, but really the PGA and really Golf Network's broadcast is kind of construed everything. Patrick Reed is going to do his thing. Previous Masters winner. Charles Schwartzel, improved form really indicates that it could be a dark horse contender. I don't expect him to do very much.
is that Carl or Charles?
Charles, I guess, and if I was going to Charleston, but my name ends at the L.
Ah, heck of a name.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, of the LIV guys, we have Cam Smith. Had to withdraw from Miami because he was ill, but he's played well there before, so he's a strong contender. And then Bubba Watson, and I personally don't know what to make of that guy. You never really know what you're going to get with Bubba. He could win the whole thing. He could be out of contention after 6 holes. So
First,
see how he does.
first couple rounds of the Miami tournament, he was playing pretty well in contention for a little bit, and then he just slowly teared off. Really kind of finishing at a +3, +2. You hope good stuff for Bubble. You're going to get some good sound bites out of him regardless. 2-time winner, doesn't really need to prove himself. Already done the things that he needs to do. Just go out there, wear your green jacket, smile, maybe a visor or two. Sign some stuff for the patrons. A lot of good stuff. But I think, as we get started here in the next 48 hours, not even 36 hours, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, as always. Weather Thursday, Pete, you looked up the weather. How's the weather looking down in Augusta?
Weather looks tough on Thursday, thunderstorms and rain, but it gets lighter later and later. Looks like it's going to be just light showers in the afternoon, and who knows with thunderstorms. That's the thing. People see thunderstorms in the forecast, they panic, but those things can come and go quick. And then it will be interesting though, because of course we'll get wet, and then by the time Sunday rolls around, it's going to be near 90 degrees and sunny. So maybe those pants will be a factor. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, they'll just be a benefit, I think, over time, as pants are. Now, earlier on the podcast, you mentioned that you're in a Masters pool type competition. Can you break down really what this competition looks like? I'm sure some of our viewers and listeners are in some sort of similar pool, and if you're not, then you should be. Get a little stake in the game.
So this will be my personal 19th hole. Basically, the pool goes, pay a small entrance fee. You pick 4 golfers to win. Lowest combined score wins. Now, when I initially signed up, I was like, aren't there going to be, if there's 200 people, 195 of the same 4, but you got to pick a few guys here and there that you think might make some noise. Separate yourself. The tiebreakers, you choose your winner, and then what you think they're going to finish with. My 4 chose top 2, chalk, Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm. I feel like they're going to be there. Yeah. Then I had to choose for the podcast our boy Joaquin Niemann. I believe he's going to have a good showing. Then I needed one more, and I thought, what the hell? I'm going to choose Rory McIlroy. Now, I can't stand the guy. I hate him. But I thought it would be good for the podcast. And also, if he plays horribly, just adds fuel to the fire. If he plays amazing, maybe I win a few $1,000, and we can turn this relationship around.
What I like to call hedging your happiness right there.
Hedging my happiness. It's a good way.
Either way you win.
I win either way.
So let's recap that. Pete has Joaquin Niemann, John Rahm, Rory McIlroy, and who's your...
I picked to win Scotty Scheffler at -14.
That's a good squad. That's a great squad.
Good squad.
Great squad.
I don't think a lot of people aren't following LIV. I think Joaquin could be my guy that separates me a little bit.
That was the other thing that watching in this live from broadcast is that everyone's like, we haven't seen these guys in months. We haven't seen them since the Ryder Cup. I'm like, it's on TV. It's right there for you to watch. You can check it out. Yeah, I understand. Like the Friday broadcast is only streamed, and these guys aren't doing that. And they're busy, and so maybe they are. Maybe the broadcasters aren't actually watching or tuning in because they're working, and we have the luxury of only working during the work week. And on the weekends we get to check this out.
The other thing is though, even if you don't watch it, and I know I say this all the time, it's golf. It's not like these guys. It's not like at the NFL split up, and half the guys are playing not on TV against other guys people never heard of. Just check what they shot at the courses. There's no defense. If someone shoots a -10 at Miami, you can just look up previous events and see how he did. So it's pretty lazy of these guys that get paid to just talk about golf.
Right. So, and the other thing too was like, there's no stats on these guys. Again, there are stats on these guys. You go to livegolf.com right now. You can look up John Rahm's fairway hit percentage, birdies, his eagles average, his scrambling, his greens in regulation. Continuing on, his putting average, 1.58 putts per hole. Driving distance, average 311 driving distance. His fairway hit percentage so far, all events this season, 55.71. But John Rahm's always been at that. So, there are stats on these guys, and you can look in and say, well, it's average over 3 days versus 4. And I think that the same thing applies. The same thing applies. I don't know if 54 is a disadvantage or an advantage for any player. being a player, if I said I had to get my best score over 4 rounds, I'd probably want to, again, hedge my bet and get an extra round in to maybe bump the numbers up. I
Yeah.
don't know. But there's stats out there, people. Make sure you pay attention to that. So that's the kind of stuff over the Masters that the live from broadcast has kind of driven me nuts. It's just like this whole driving narrative. Now everybody's tuning into one broadcast, right? So you have one perspective, and I think that's the one big thing. And I think being more open to LIV, obviously, that we are this season, and saying, hey, let's do our own research and education. Let's look at this with unbiased eyes, but focus on it. And it's kind of brought to light that there's obviously so much media trying to drive this narrative, but at the same time, they're interviewing guys, and they're like, yeah, no, it's a golf tournament. It's the best golf tournament in the world. We're excited to see and get everybody together. Like, where this is their dream. They want to get all the best players in the world to play against one another, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, why not? Well,
I don't.
that's my 19th hole.
Yeah, it's a great 19th hole. I think if I were to kind of contribute, which I'm not, because I want to go into it with sober eyes here, not really just kind of watch, because don't call me pussy, whatever. I'll take that criticism.
Yeah.
But if I were to pick 4 guys to shoot the lowest score cumulatively, which is also kind of similar to a LIV type format of a bet, but I would choose obviously Jon Rahm as the defending champion. Scotty Scheffler, who's just been shooting lights out. So that's a PGA guy and a LIV guy. I think I have to go with Brooks Koepka because he's just kind of a dog out there and really wants to win. And yeah, outside of those 3, it's got to be Waco Neiman. Like, I don't see another consistent PGA player who's like always at the top, unless you're going with Wyndham Clark. It's a close second between Brooks Koepka and Wyndham Clark. I think Joaquin Neiman's going to be there pretty tight. Brooks Koepka could not produce good numbers. I mean, you have just the fact of his history within majors to really rely on, but Wyndham Clark is really kind of like on that uprise slope right now.
Yeah. So we'll see. We're gonna good timing. We'll do the next episode on Tuesday right afterwards. Give everyone a full rundown.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Moving on to, just want to recap a little bit of the Miami tournament as far as teams go. We do have Legion 13 as the overall team winner, but you have the Range Goats coming in again with Bubba Watson, Ulaine, Wolf, Peters doing excellent, and then of course Stinger GC with Dean Burmester leading the top. So you have Legion 13, Range Goats, and then of course Stinger GC. But looking in total leaderboard across, and what we're looking for, Crushers GC with 2 wins. You have Legion 13 in a close second with 2 wins, but they just fell off a little bit. Crushers has just been consistent, finishing no worse than 6th place in any event. Legion 13 tailed off a little bit with a 13 finish in Hong Kong, and Torque GC not quite getting there as far as the team wins. So cumulatively, Torque maybe need to tighten the rails a little bit. Mito Pereira, Carlos Ortiz, just kind of rank it up. But we're already 5 events in, out of the total 14 events on the entire LIV, and that includes obviously the championship event. So we're coming down. We're midpoint in the season here, Pete.
Yep. Midway through the pod, and we're a little bit like Torque. We get to tighten some screws. I think we have. So it will only get better for us. And
thanks all of you for sticking with us.
Yeah.
Continuing on the 19th hole, as far as getting personal about our golf game, I think that I'm gonna buy a new driver before San Antonio. I haven't landed on specifics yet. I'm leaning towards the Sim 2 Max driver, stiff shaft, 9-degree face. That's what I'm looking at right now. Hit a few of those.
You're gonna buy before the big weekend. Just going blind.
Yeah, well, I'll get it ahead of time. Hit the net in the garage, but yeah, put the Garmin out right behind me, and hopefully find some sort of continuity amongst drives. But yeah, I was on vacation, tried a few of them out, liked the feel. Not in the market for something more expensive than that. Most of the pros were bouncing between the Stealth and that one. Not in the market for a QI10, although that looks great. But we'll see down the road.
What's yours going to run you?
$300, I think.
It's really not bad. That's not bad at all.
Not bad, right? You write that off as a business expense.
But
we got San Antonio coming up. We do need to book arrival day round on Thursday. Get in about midday, around noon. Need to get in. There's gonna be plenty of sunlight to start around 2:00. Might be enough guys that on arrival day at that point to get maybe a 5-some and or a 6-some, 2 3-somes. Go into something quick. Play a full round, hit the grocery store on the way home, and be back at the Airbnb in time to sit down, relax, and welcome a few more late arrivals.
Yeah, I can't wait. Looking forward to it. Coming up quick. 1 days.
One week and a day.
Can't wait.
Very excited. Looking forward to that. Well, I think that's pretty much it.
That's it. Well, that's another episode in the books.
Another episode in the books. Very excited for Masters Week. I'm sure all of you listening and watching are. Stay tuned. Pay attention. Don't read into the Reddit. Try to tune everything out. Watch all your favorite players out there. But yeah, keep in mind Pete's foursome, which is of course very important. Scotty,
John, Joaquin, Rory. Controversial.
And mine is going to be Wyndham Clark, Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm, and Joaquin Niemann.
Yep.
That being said, enjoy the Masters this weekend, and we'll catch up with you next week.